our December JL holiday general meeting, first virtual holiday general meeting. Really appreciate everyone being here and spending a fabulous Saturday brunch with us. Jody, if you can go to the next slide. Thank you. Wanted to start out with a new practice that we have implemented this year at the recommendation of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And we have started to use a land acknowledgement at the beginning of our general meetings. And as you can see here, that's a formal statement that recognizes and respects Indigenous peoples as traditional stewards of this land and the enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. So this is a training moment for all of us and kind of what a land acknowledgement is. And then I want to share the statement that we created on behalf of the JLD. Perfect, thanks, Jody. So throughout history, over 100 different tribal nations have occupied the lands we now know as the state of Colorado. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, the Junior League of Denver acknowledges that we are gathered today on the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Ute, and Sioux. This area was also the site of trade, hunting, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native tribes. We recognize the Indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land, and we honor with gratitude the descendant communities of these tribes. All right, we can go to the next. So we are going to start off. We have several demonstrations for you throughout the meeting from our fabulous cookbooks committee. And so I'm going to start out by turning it over to Stephanie Ferguson for our holiday drink.
Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. I hope you can see and hear me clearly. I am bringing this fun and festive recipe for the cranberry sparkler in my holiday pajamas. I don't think I've ever attended a general meeting in my PJs, but here I am. So what I love about this drink is it's so easy. A lot of the ingredients you probably already have on hand. You can make a modified version, make it non-alcoholic. So for those of you that don't drink, or if you want to involve your little kids in this, I think it's really fun and festive. It obviously makes a really great brunch drink, but you could serve it as like a girls' happy hour. It's just really light and refreshing. So I think it's something that you guys will definitely be drinking all year long. And I kind of have some helpers today. This is my son, Bear. And then I have my husband, John, too. We kind of made it a family affair, getting this recipe together. So what it is, it's equal part cranberry juice.
Stephanie, we lost your audio, or at least I did. Is that just me, or does that happen for everyone? I see some heads nodding.
Yes, it looks like she's frozen.
Where is the suspense around what the drink is going to be?
I made Bear a little, he's got a higher glass. And if you're not, so then you want to add in your ice cubes, and then you're going to top with however much Prosecco you want. And you can use Prosecco, Cava, Champagne. I'm using sparkling wine. So whatever type of bubbles you like. If you're doing a non-alcoholic version, I just did a little club soda at the top, but you could do splash with like the Italian sodas, anything flavored like that. If you find a sparkling cranberry or a sparkling grapefruit soda, I think that would be really nice as well. And then we topped ours with fresh raspberries. No. But we've also made some sugared cranberries before, and I think if you happen to have those laying around, if you're familiar with those would make a really pretty topping on top of this drink too. And then if you're making the non-alcoholic version, you're going to want to add a little bit more sweetener. So I use simple syrup in his. You can forego it if you like yours a little bit more tart, but you're going to want to add a little bit more sweetness that the elderflower liqueur gives it. So then you kind of just mix everything together, and then that's pretty much it. It's super simple, really festive, really light, and really, really yummy, right? Do you want to cheers? You want to cheers? He needs a straw.
Oh, you need a straw?
And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. It's Stephanie, your audio cut out briefly right at the very beginning. Could you just run through the ingredients again?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the cranberry sparkler that's in the Centennial Celebrations cookbook. So the ingredients are going to be cranberry juice, grapefruit juice, equal parts, about an ounce each, elderflower liqueur. I did a half an ounce of that. And then you're gonna mix it with ice and top it with however much Prosecco or bubbles you want. And I use Prosecco, but you could use Cava, champagne, sparkling wine, or club soda if you're doing the non-alcoholic version.
Wonderful.
And then garnish with fresh raspberries or any other fruit you like. I think sugared cranberries would also make this really pretty.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephanie, to you and
All
your
right, you
family.
guys want to do a cheers?
All right, cheers.
My husband's got to get in here for the family.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
That's wonderful. Thank you all so much. Thank you to you and your family for sharing that with us. And hopefully folks at home are making that recipe or your own version of that for your drink this morning. And yes, the jammies are fantastic. So as we shift into our next part of the program, just more housekeeping that I forgot to mention at the beginning. Another reminder, if folks will go on mute when you're not speaking, that'll help us throughout the meeting. But then also a reminder that we are going to be giving out some awards at the end of the meeting for the most fun and festive holiday gear. So our GM committee is going to select the winners, and then we'll share those at the very end of the meeting. So just build a little suspense around that. So next up, I am absolutely thrilled to introduce you all to our co-chairs, Shannon Batal and Bianca Smith of our Future Focus Special Committee. They and their team have been working so hard for about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half at this point, to do a lot of research and strategic thinking on behalf of the league. And we are so and hope you all will feel excited as well to hear the update today, to let everyone know where we are and where we might go, and the feedback that we're looking for from all of you. So without further ado, Shannon and Bianca, I will turn it over to you.
Why, thank you. We're really pleased to be with you all today. Jody, are you driving this presentation, my friend? Awesome. Would you click forward for me? So the purpose of our presentation today is to reintroduce our committee and let you all know who we are and what we've been up to. And then we've reached a really exciting part in the process. Our committee has a proposal for how we might expand the league's focus that we're excited to share with you today. And then the last part is to really sincerely ask for your feedback over these next couple months to make sure that we really get it right for you as members and for the Junior League of Denver and for our broader Denver metro community. On the next slide, you're going to see a photo. You can tell our committee has been meeting for a long time. This is definitely a pre-COVID photo. This is our second year meeting as a committee. And because this is a special committee, meaning that it doesn't exist all the time, just was brought together for a specific purpose. This is a second placement for all the gals on our committee. So I really did want to acknowledge that they've really gone above and beyond doing their placement and then stepping up to serve the league in this way. We have folks from every council in our league, as well as representatives of the foundation. We have some fabulous sustainers. We have some gals that are first year active. So really just stretching a very broad swath of our members. And we're just really so thankful for all of these names you've seen on the screen who have all pitched in over this league year and the previous one. Starting sort of from the beginning, you'll see our mission statement up here on your screen. The Junior League of Denver is an organization of women committed to promoting volunteerism, developing the potential of women, and improving communities through the effective action and leadership of trained volunteers. And so this is where it starts for our committee and for all of yours as well. And so Our mission isn't changing. This has been our mission for 100 years. What we're discussing is an expansion of our focus. You'll see our current focus written below the mission. This has been our focus since 2012. It reads, we are currently working to improve literacy rates and provide access to books for children through the 3rd grade. And so what we're talking about is there a way to expand our focus that would allow all of us to better live out our mission? And that's what our committee has been wrestling with your help now for a bit of time. On the next slide, you'll see the specific task of our committee. So like I mentioned, we're a special committee, which means we came into being for a very specific reason. And this is the exact wording you're seeing on your screen of a motion that was passed by our board of directors in the spring of 2019. And this is what brought our committee into being, and this is what we've been assigned to do. So the first part of our job was to determine whether or not we needed to make an expansion to our focus at this point. And we spent a lot of time last year really thinking through that and getting a lot of feedback from you all. And you'll remember we shared with you that we did in fact believe this was the right time for the league to expand our focus. And now the second part of that motion describes the work we're up to this year. So we're here today sort of on the mission of 2A. What could our focus area include? Assuming that we feel good about the direction we're going, then those points 2B and 2C will be some work for our committee for the rest of the year, and eventually work for all of us as league members to sort of live this out and move this forward in the most positive way possible. So there you have it. Bianca is going to go through all of the things we've done up to this point, so you sort of know how we arrived here today.
Thanks, Shannon. So we've done a lot of work. We've had a year and a half to be working on this, and what you'll see in the next 3 slides is that work and sort of categorized sort of 3 different areas with sort of our 3 priorities while we've been going through this process, which has been listening to our members carefully and understanding your priorities and what you want in an expanded focus, listening to our community and Denver's greatest areas of needs and where we as the Junior League of Denver can make the greatest impact. And then all along the way, being really transparent with the work we do to identify an expanded focus that's meaningful to all of you, to the league as a whole, and to the Denver community. And so this first slide sort of highlights some of the research we've done. We've done sort of a SWOT analysis with our committee as well as the staff, and evaluated our existing focus. We chatted with staff who have been through many years with the league and have seen the league have a focus and not have a focus, and sort of what their perspective was on how the league has had an impact having a focus and not. We looked at other leagues. We looked at 54 other leagues who are similarly sized in members as we are. And we recently looked through the AJLI Community Impact Award winners to really understand what types of community actions other leagues are doing that are really being impactful in their communities. Next slide. Jody, thank you. And like I mentioned earlier, it's been really important for us as a committee to make sure we are hearing all of you, because this is our focus moving forward. So we've reached out to you starting at the Loves event, at the end of the Loves event last year, asking you, do you think we should expand or not? We presented an update to all of you last December, about a year ago, all together at the Brown Palace, on updating you on what we learned from that. And then we told you, hey, we were going to hold some speak ups because we really wanted to hear from you on one-on-one what you thought of this and what would make something meaningful to you, as well as send out a league-wide survey in May to engage those we might have missed. And then we utilized all of that to develop our expanded focus guidelines, which Shannon will talk about a little bit later, to help us sort of develop a checklist or our must-haves of what the expanded focus should have, so it's meaningful to us, the league, as well as the community, and then updated all of you on that at the September GM this year, as well as your council meetings, And then, and just keep you informed of where we were. Next slide, please. We also wanted to make sure, because we heard from all of you, that we really needed to listen to what our community needed. What are the greatest areas of need? So, we have met with local community partners. We had Colorado Children's Campaign present at our, I believe it was the September GM in 2019 on the kids' data book, so the needs of Denver's kids and Colorado's kids. We've also had Shift Research Lab come and sort of who is in Denver and what are the greatest needs. And then most recently, we've reached out again to community partners and leaders to understand how COVID might have heightened community needs. Next slide, Jody. And as you might imagine, many of our community partners and community leaders are working sort of overtime, sort of under-resourced and understaffed, and are serving a greater need. And what we came to learn was that COVID has really just heightened the existing issues that our community has. And that includes increase in homelessness, difficulty accessing mental health treatment, inequitable access to high quality childcare. There's the continuing increasing gap between the wages in the Denver area and the cost of living here, as well as just a continued inadequate access to basic needs and services. Some other areas of concern that continue to be concerns for our state and our community include, maternal mortality rates increasing, the increase in opioid addiction, the continued support for wraparound care for our youth that are exiting the foster care system. And if you kind of look at all these, the things I just mentioned and the things on the screen, I think you see sort of something interesting in the sense that many of these issues are things that are disproportionately affecting those who are living in poverty in our community. Shannon is going to kind of revisit what our guidelines were for those of you who might have missed that, because that was a key component, in addition to listening our community partners and leaders, as to how we came up with our expanded focus.
So after our speak ups and our survey, we had over 200 Junior League of Denver members share their feedback with us through those processes. And so we're just so thankful for that. After that component and then the research that Bianca described, we came up with 9 criteria for an expanded focus. Those 9 criteria are that our expanded focus should complement our mission and make it really clear what the JLD does. That our expanded focus should amplify opportunities for us to be a leader in an area of need here in our community. That our expanded focus should prioritize serving women along with children. That our expanded focus area should give us opportunities in some areas that are really important to our members. They include education, poverty alleviation, health and wellness, and violence alleviation. That our expanded focus should give us opportunities to show measurable outcomes and outputs to demonstrate that we're making a difference. That our expanded focus should have tons of opportunities for training and learning for our members, and enough opportunities to keep us engaged for several league years at least. Our new area of focus should allow us to volunteer on weekday evenings, and perhaps some Saturday volunteer opportunities as well. That our expanded focus should allow for placements where members get to know each other and get to know the folks and the organizations we're working alongside. And that our new focus should present all councils with opportunities for engagement. And so this sort of became the marching orders of our committee. We needed to deliver for you all something that met these 9 criteria. And we're here today to let you know that we think we found something, and we're just really very thrilled to share it with you today. It's the culmination of a lot of really sort of thoughtful and diligent work. So drum roll please, Jody, woohoo! So as we discussed, our previous focus was working to improve literacy rates from birth to 3rd grade. And so we're looking to expand upon our current focus in 2 ways. We're looking to expand on the folks we serve. So instead of just children, we're proposing an expansion to women and families. We heard that really clearly from you, our members, in the speak ups. And then we're proposing an expansion from literacy into the broader umbrella of poverty. Do you want to, I feel like there should be fireworks or drum rolls or something. We're going to get into a little bit more about what we mean by poverty. Do you want to hit the next slide? Bianca, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so I think poverty can strike different sensations or different words in different people's minds. And to think of it from the point of view that we were sort of looking at how white the junior league fit that is, what does poverty look like in Denver and what does it look like in our community? So there is the federal definition of poverty, so the federal poverty line or the FPL, and they determine sort of an amount of, if you fall under this amount, you are living under poverty, and that's the federal definition. And that amount for a family of 4 in 2018 was $24,600. And so if you're looking at that number and thinking, that doesn't seem like a lot for a family of 4, I think you might be right. So we were so gracious to have Colorado Children's Campaign put together the data of what really is the self-sufficiency standard. What does it take to sort of live and be doing well and having everything you need in the Denver County area? And that number, as you can see sort of on the right, is a lot higher. Next click, Jody, almost $72,000. And so if you see that, they've added things like healthcare and transportation, food. Healthcare is incredibly expensive where we are. And then housing, they factored in $16,000 for housing for the year for a family of 4. And I don't know of many places where you can find rent that's about $13.50 per month for a family of 4 in the Denver County, Denver metro area. So already these are really tight numbers. Jody, next click. So if you look between what the federal definition of poverty is and what really it takes to live and do sort of have everything you need to be self-sufficient, it's about 3 times what the federal definition of poverty is. There's a huge gap there. You know, who's being served or who are we missing in this gap of people who don't technically fit the definition of the federal poverty level and what it is to really be meeting all your needs in this community. So if you take a look at that number in 2018, it's a lot higher. So in 2018, they said 10% of children and 12% of children and 10% of women were living under the federal definition of poverty, but approximately 30% of Denver households in 2018 didn't meet the self-sufficiency standard. Now we know data lags, and as we continue to gather data over 2019 and over the year 2020, I'm sure, as you might guess, COVID has not helped any of these numbers, and they've probably gotten significantly worse. Next slide, please. So I think it's also important that poverty can be talked about in sort of a cycle. This is talked a lot about what does it mean? What is the cycle of poverty? And this is sort of where we saw potential ways for the disruptors of this cycle. So if you're not familiar with the poverty cycle, you can sort of start really anywhere. But if you start with a family in poverty and the children in that family are growing up in poverty, therefore they're likely to be significantly disadvantaged and have less opportunities to attain skills, as well as just inequitable access to education opportunities. As adults, then they struggle to achieve economic security and so fail to escape the poverty cycle, and then as adults have a family of their own, and the cycle continues. Some of you might have heard of this as sort of 2-gen or multi-generational poverty, but in understanding poverty, it's an important thing to understand. And where our committee really saw opportunities for us to be interrupters of this cycle are in the bottom 2 boxes, where if you look at the bottom right box, it's really looking at how poverty affects children and so sort of what that might look like. And then the bottom left is where poverty affects women and families. Not only understanding like this cycle poverty can be really, really broad and have so many meanings. And Shannon's going to talk a little bit about what that umbrella might look like and how big that might be and how it might provide us flexibility because it's so broad.
So as you can see, our committee is envisioning poverty to be a much more expansive umbrella than, say, literacy was. And so we were thinking of all the different raindrops, so to speak, that could fit under this umbrella. And we decided, for the sake of giving some examples, to name 5 today for us to consider. Things like education, stable housing, basic needs, economic opportunities, and healthcare would all fit under this umbrella. But so would lots of things that we didn't write down. Things like services for those aging out of the foster care system, domestic violence, human trafficking, access to quality childcare, hunger and nutrition, and so many more. And so this is a really exciting invitation for all of us as members and for all of our committees to really think about how we might implement a focus like this over the next few years. There are just so many opportunities for us to learn, to volunteer, to advocate, to train, to legislate, to lead in this expanded focus area. The good news is that all of our current efforts would fit under this umbrella. So we have some really beloved community programs like Read to Kids and Kids Connect, which are family literacy programs, and they fit so nicely under this umbrella. So do some of our other committee placements like The Gathering Place, which would be a partner in the homelessness space, or We Don't Waste, which could be a hunger partner for us in the future. Our most popular Done in a Days easily fit in this space. Organizations that you all enjoy volunteering for, like Kenzie's Cause and the Ronald McDonald House and Dress for Success, Bella Boutique, Newborns in Need, Florence Crittenton High School, all very nicely fit under this umbrella. And at the same time, there are just so many new opportunities for us, new trainings, new nonprofit partners, new legislation to support. And so we think that the broadness of this particular area is just a real asset for us as members. And we're just so excited to share this proposed expanded focus with you all today. So as we sort of start to think about this, I sort of go back to our mission. Organization of women promoting volunteerism, developing the potential of women, and improving communities through the effective action and leadership of our trained volunteers. So imagine all the ways we could live out our mission in this proposed expanded focus space. If we choose to expand our focus in this way, there are just so many opportunities for us to work alongside women and children to interrupt the cycle of poverty. And so our question for you all today, maybe you can drop some ideas in the chat, is what about this excites you the most? How would you like to engage if we're to choose this new area of focus? How could you see your committee or your council participating? What excites you the most about this?
Yeah, so if folks want to use the chat box, take a minute to think and use the chat, and then I think Shannon and Bianca will go through and share some of those.
Oh my gosh, I forgot I was supposed to be reading because I'm having so much fun. I forgot I was supposed to be speaking because I'm having so much fun reading. Okay, the variety of places you can work, an opportunity for all members and councils to feel involved, for more women to connect personally to our focus. From a policy perspective, there's great. I'm going to read this word for word, Naomi. This is so well stated. There's so much potential within this new focus to advocate for legislation that addresses the root causes of poverty. I think there's training opportunities there. Sign me up. I have a lot to learn. I love it that it will allow us to serve women and children. Yeah, I'd love to see opportunities for developing skills and confidence in their abilities to secure jobs and self-sufficiency. It's cool to move back into the space of partnering with women after being just with children for a bit.
I like one. Can I read one, Shannon?
Yeah,
I like,
go
oh,
ahead.
it's going disappearing. Sorry. Let me read the chat too. I don't want to misquote, but it was just sort of that it's so broad. Hold on, let me get this right. That it's so broad, it allows us to serve our community. I've missed it. There's so many great chats. But it's broad enough to allow us flexibility as our community's needs change. I'm sorry, I missed who said that, but great comment.
I'll say there's a couple comments on the theme of an opportunity to teach our sons and daughters and our families about this, given the kind of broader population scope, as a way to pull in more of our family members and teach them as well and engage them in this area, which I think is really powerful.
Thank you all for sharing your initial feedback with us. We do want you to know that this chat is by no means like once and done. You can flip to the next slide if you'd like, Jody. We are really sincere in seeking your feedback. We're not asking for your vote on this expanded area of focus at this meeting. We've built in a good amount of time. We have the rest of December and January, and during this time, we're going to be really intentional in trying to seek feedback from as many members as we possibly can. So we've spent time with our board. We're here with you today. We will be at every council meeting in January, which will be a chance for our chairs and VPs to give us some more feedback. And we want you to know that we very much welcome your email, your text, your phone call. Bianca and I are sincere, and so are all of our committee members. If you saw a name of someone you know, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. It's really important to us that we understand very clearly and that we really are moving in the right direction that serves you and our community. And so any and all feedback is very welcome, assuming that we are sort of on the right path and we can incorporate your feedback in a meaningful way and end up somewhere even better. Then the next step in this process would be to ask for your formal vote at the February GM. And then to give you a sense of time frame, assuming we're still moving positively at that point, then you would start to see your committees and councils start to work in this space and think about what this means and how we could build this out and how we could grow beginning in the next league year. So I hope that sort of gives you a sense of where we're at moving forward. And once again, we are just really thankful to be here with you today to share this with you. I think our email address might be one click away, Jody. This is our official future focus. And of course, if you were to look Bianca and I up in the directory, you'd be welcome to just email us directly as well. But we are thrilled to share this with you, and we're really excited to hear what you think about it. So thank you all very, very much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Shannon and Bianca, and thank you to everyone who's giving feedback in the chat. We want to hear all of it. As goal now is to really continue to have a very thoughtful process. So that was why we wanted to bring this to everyone. We'll also have a league-wide email that goes out next week, sharing that information with those who aren't with us at brunch this morning. And we really authentically want to continue that conversation and make sure that when we do bring that final proposal, that everyone feels like we know what we're doing, we know how we got here, and we feel good about the work that we'll do from there on out. And just want to say another thank you, Shannon, Bianca, the entire Future Focus committee. A lot of folks you all saw on that slide earlier for the really thoughtful work that you have led and the really, really authentic way that you have wanted to keep our members and our community at the center of these conversations. And none of this was about any one person's preference or any kind of agenda around that. It really has been about process and what we're hearing and what the needs are, and just want to commend you so much and thank you for that work. Yes, a virtual clap, round of applause. So more information to come. You'll get an email, and again, please reach out and let's continue this conversation. So, and we're going to talk more about it here in a second with our panel. But before we do that, we are moving on from our drink this morning to our main course for brunch. And so wanted to see if we have Samantha Myers on from our cookbooks committee, who's going to talk to us about our ham and cheese quiche.
Hey everybody, good morning. I made the ham and cheese quiche. I ate most of it already, but so I saved one slice to show you guys. So it was super, super simple. This is was one of the easiest things I think I've ever made, and highly recommended. It was quite tasty. Some for you, I did find that there's a little extra batter for the pie shell size. That being said, I did cheat and I purchased store-bought pie crust instead of making my own. So I think maybe if you put it in your own pie pan, it probably wouldn't, it would fit a little bit better, but I totally cheated. Still tasted great cheating though. So if you're crunched on time, feel free to cheat and just buy store-bought. And then I chopped the ham, and I found that you probably should slice it. It's still really good, but it tumbles out when you cut it because they're little chunks of ham versus I think if you shaved it, it might turn out, it might blend in a little bit better. And what else was it? Oh, it took a lot longer to bake. This could be my oven. I'm in a rental. You never know what you're going to get. So it took about 70 minutes to bake versus 55. Quite afraid I was going to dry it out or burn it, but it turned out perfect, even though it cooked 25 minutes over what it called for. Again, could be my oven. Normally it's pretty trustworthy, but you never know. So I would just say, just keep watching it, because it definitely was jelly in the middle for a little bit, and I was very afraid to take it out of the oven. But overall, it was so good and so easy to make. I've had it for breakfast the last 3 days. And I just pop it right back in the oven, cutting a slice out, tin foil, throw it in the oven, and it's so, so good. So highly recommend doing this for brunch. My roommate loved it as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. I love anything that reheats so you can do that prep earlier in the week and have meals for days to come.
Yep, I cut out a slice of morning, throw it in the oven. Although I was running on no coffee yesterday morning, and I put a slice in the oven, went to go take it out, never turned the oven on. So
small details. Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. And I saw you were having fun making this the other day, and you were posting on Instagram, and it was on the JLD story. It was fun to watch you.
I did, yes. A little time lapse.
Yeah, it was so great. Thank you for giving us some tips on the ham and cheese quiche. And again, you all can find this in our Centennial Celebrations cookbook, of course, and make that over the holiday season. And hopefully some of you are enjoying that right now for brunch during the meeting. All right. So we are going to go into the next main event of our morning. And I am just absolutely thrilled to introduce all of you to some very special guests that we have with us. And it's always a treat to be able to hear from past league leaders. And today we have a really exciting opportunity to hear from some of our leaders from both their league experience, but also to use their professional expertise and to continue this conversation around what an expanded focus could mean for the Junior League of Denver, and to hear from them what they're thinking around this proposed expansion. So I want to introduce you to this all-star team, and then we will dive in to that conversation. So starting, I'm going to read you a little bit of background on each of our three special guests, starting with Carly Landers-Elkis. So Carly has served the Colorado Children's Campaign in several capacities over the past 5 years: volunteer, development director, and now philanthropy officer. In her current role, Carly is responsible for connecting individuals and organizations passionate about equity and systemic policy change with the work of Children's Campaign in order to further their philanthropic interests, build organizational capacity, and increase community impact. Carly graduated from the University of Notre Dame with a BA in American Studies and a certificate from the Heisberg Program in Public Policy, as well as Case Western Reserve University School of Law, where she was selected to the National Order of Barristers. After 14 years as a litigation attorney, Carly embraced her passion for philanthropy and redirected her skills and expertise into various nonprofit leadership roles. Carly is a former member of several nonprofit boards, including the Children's Hospital Colorado Foundation Circle of Care Council, Children's Campaign Circle of Friends, Youth Roots, and her beloved Junior League of Denver and Junior League of Denver Foundation. And Carly served as the president of the Junior League of Denver in 2014, 2015. So let's give a virtual round of applause and big welcome to Carly.
Thank you.
And then next, I want to introduce to all of you Christine Bonero. So Christine is President and Chief Executive Officer of Mile High United Way, the first United Way in the world. For 133 years, Mile High United Way has worked to advance the common good and believes that regardless of zip code, all children, individuals, and families should have the opportunity for success. Christine is the former Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross Mile High chapter. She served as Vice President of the National Civic League and also as the President of the Association of Junior Leagues International. Christine has served in 2 presidential administrations, working for both Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, and currently serves on multiple boards, including Health One, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and Denver Public Schools Foundation. Christine holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Boston University and a Master's in Education from Harvard University Graduate School of Education. And Christine was also the president of the Junior League of Washington, D.C., and is now a sustaining member here in the JLD. So welcome, Christine. Huge round of applause for you as well. Thanks for being here.
Morning.
And then last, but certainly not least, we have Dana Renderneck. So Dana joined the Community First Foundation staff in December 2007 and serves the organization as its Director of Online Giving. After she joined Community First Foundation, she helped launch coloradogives.org, a year-round online giving website featuring almost 2,900 Colorado nonprofit organizations. 3 years later, she was the driving force behind the introduction of Colorado Gives Day, the state's largest online giving day, which is coming up next week. Through these 2 programs, more than $348 million has been raised online for Colorado nonprofits. Prior to joining Community First Foundation, Dana served as the Director of Resource Development for Dental Aid and as the Executive Director of Family Pathways of Colorado. Throughout her career, she has volunteered and serves on the boards of several Denver area nonprofits. She holds a master's degree in business administration from the University of Denver and Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics from Colorado State University. And Dana served as the Junior League of Denver president in 2008, 2009. So a big, big welcome to Dana as well. All right, so I wanted to just read you all of that, just to really highlight the amazing amount of expertise that we have on this phone call with us right now. It honestly makes me a little emotional. I'm a little in awe of these leaders, and I'm just so grateful, Christine, Dana, and Carly, for the support that you have shown to the league over the years, Junior League of Denver League and other leagues, and to me personally this year. So thank you so much for being here this morning. Wanted to start out with a little bit of an icebreaker question to get us going before we dive into more specifics, and just have each of you share what was the focus area of your league when you were president, just to get a little bit of insight as to how that has changed over the years and how that might look differently in different leagues. So we will start out with Dana. So Dana, what was the JLD working on back in 2008?
So our big focus was Kids Connect, was doing the Kids Connect program, and then we had some other things. We were kind of in a flux period when I was leading the league. We were kind of getting out of the Kids Connect. And for those that didn't know what Kids Connect was, I think we still do a little bit of that. We would go in and we would take books and food and dinner to various areas, and league members would partner with a family, and then they would go to different stations where they would do art around the book, and they'd read the book, and they do a craft, they do a craft project, and then they do all kinds of different things, and then they go home with the book. And that was the big key. I think that's always been the big key. But we were also doing some work with domestic violence. We were doing Safe House Denver at the time, so we were doing some shelter work as well. So it was a little bit of everything when I was president.
Great. It's so interesting to hear how that has evolved over the years here in Denver. And Christine, I'm going to go to you next. What were you all working on in Washington, D.C. when you were president?
Great. Good morning, Melanie, and to everyone. I have to say, any general meeting that starts with a cocktail like that has become my favorite meeting ever. So it's and as always, to be in the company of Carly and Dana is pretty extraordinary. And so thank you. And I'll talk more about that. This is one of the more thoughtful process. Bianca and Shannon, what you just approached is so thoughtful and brilliant, truly. But when I was president of the Junior League of Washington, D.C., and that's why I am smiling, we began this journey when I was there, but the opposite direction. We had been very broad, and we began the journey then to narrow. And the year I was president, we selected literacy, and in particular, children's literacy. So it is interesting to see how communities go on these journeys, but it's the first time the Junior League of Washington, D.C. did a single focus area at that time.
Wonderful. Thanks, Christine. And Carly, so if we're all tracking years here, we might know the answer to this, but so what were we working on when you were president, and what was the context? It was early on in that change.
That's right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me this morning. It's so exciting. It's just wonderful to be here. And I agree with Christine to start off with a cocktail and to see a beautiful family in pajamas is just the best way to start. So thank you. But it's really fortuitous to have the three of us on this panel because I started the Junior League when Dana was president. And it was when I joined the board in 2012, 2013, that the league was shifting its focus to, and it was our work with Mile High United Way, led by Christine Bonero, that really catapulted us into that space and really set us on that path. And at the time, there was an overwhelming need in the community for work in this space. And so, and it was an exciting time to watch that transition happen. And to watch our Find the Focus committee at the time kind of going through there. And there were some bumps in the road, as there always are, but that's where we landed. And I think we can look back and see tremendous gains in that space over that time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Carly. So we'll build on, I think, a little bit of what each of you just shared with the first question. And so I have a few questions throughout this for all of you, and then some specific questions for each of you that maybe others will have thoughts to add on as well. But we're going to start with one for each of you. So our proposed focus will allow us to expand to new areas, but in some way is a return to some historical work of the league. Why is it important that we continue to assess and evolve our focus area over time? And I'll see if any of you wants to start, and if not, I'll call on someone if no one jumps in.
Well, I'm happy to jump in. And again, what I think I love about this process is what I love about the league. And there is a reason that the Junior League of Denver is over 100 years old, because it has always responded to the needs of the community. If we were the same organization we were 100 years ago, I don't think we'd be here. I don't think we would have thrived as an organization in being able to fulfill our mission. So the fact that the league is consistently assessing what's happening in and has its fingers on the pulse of what's happening with partners, with actual people in our communities, our own families, and then looking at the data. And when you're blessed to have an organization in Colorado like the Colorado Children's Campaign who can drive that data as well. So I think that's the beauty of the league and why we're still thriving 100 years later.
Love that insight.
I'll jump in too. And I think Christine, I love being with Christine and Carly too. I wanted to say I'm always so much in awe when I sit there listening to the two of them speak. But I really think the other thing is the league is very large. If we look at how many league members we have, it's nice to have a good variety of things for people to do. There's so much impact that the league has made in the last 101 years that this gives it an opportunity to really expand again. I think there's a lot of needs. I really do think this pandemic has brought up a lot of things that were there always before, but has kind of cleared the way for people to understand what's out there and what is needed. So this is a great time to be doing this, because then you're really looking at how can you be responsive. And I think that's really cool about the ability and the size of, because it is a little overwhelming. And I saw that in the comments in the chat that this feels very big. But that's the cool thing about the league, is that you can have really big impact in certain areas underneath that great big umbrella. So I think this is the perfect time. It's fortuitous that this process was in place.
I love that reflection, Dana. I think there was a kind of 30-second moment back in the spring of, is this the moment with so much changing? And then we quickly said, yes, this is exactly the reason. There's more need than ever before. I love that insight. Carly, what would you add?
Well, I would add that I agree. This is exactly the right moment. It's the right moment in time for the league as we move into the second century of work in the community. And it's the right time in our community. And I think no one could tell that the pandemic was coming when the focus committee started on this journey. But there are lots of other things that the league was doing at the same time as it dealt with diversity, inclusion, and equity. And this makes perfect sense to be making this shift at this time. And I wanted just to reiterate what my colleagues have shared, is that what's so exciting about this process and the way it's been managed is really how inclusive and intentional the committee has been to include partners and members of our own community. And I love the concept of being interrupters. And so congratulations to Shannon and Bianca and the whole team on that. But what's really exciting is that evaluation is one of the pillars of success. And unless we are continually evaluating our work on the micro scale and on the macro scale, we can't move forward. And so for the league to remain relevant in its pursuit and to fulfill its mission, this is necessary work. So it is the right time, and congratulations to all.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you all for that insight. Next question that I have, Christine, this is for you. So we're going to start there, but then certainly I think others have expertise obviously here as well. So poverty, it's a big issue, as we'd all just noted. How does that align with the needs that you're seeing in the Denver community?
So it is a really big issue. And so when you just hear poverty, and these are the kind of conversations we have in Mile High United Way, is how do we eradicate poverty? And you see our whole team say, what do we have to do? But when you looked at the presentation that Shannon and Bianca presented, and I loved the raindrops, and you looked at all those issues, you look at literacy issues, you look at food insecurity, you look at healthcare, you look at housing and homelessness, and you dig deep beyond that. There is one common thread that goes through all that, and that is economic security, economic mobility, and poverty. It's as simple as that. When you look at what the federal poverty level is, and then you look at what it takes to be self-sufficient in Denver, there is not an issue that in the last 8 months, and absolutely Carly and Dana are right, what the pandemic has done is just shown a very harsh spotlight on what has already always existed within our community. The league has always recognized that, but if you look at what is at the bottom, it is really about issues of poverty. You can look at the data, you can map where neighborhoods and communities, all driven by the income level, and go from there. So the fact that the league is really is willing to take such a leap and say, this is big, and that's what this issue is. It's an and issue. It is literacy and it's poverty. It is healthcare and it's poverty. It is. So the ability for, and to Dana's point, such a large league, the and is going to be amplifying and amazing to have that kind of focus in a very broad area.
Love that framing, the and tied, really showing how that's so connected. Thanks for that, Christine. Carly or Dana, is there anything either of you want to add on that question?
I think Christine nailed it as usual, but I think just to put a finer point on it, and as a data and research organization, all the data that we collect, all of it shows how disproportionately impacted children living in families with low income or living with poverty have less access to all the things that are needed to live healthy lives and thrive. And so I saw some comments in the chat about how daunting this might be, that the area is so big. That is also what makes it exciting. But if we think about what underpins all the challenges in our community, it really does come down to that.
Yeah, I of course agree with both of these ladies. I think it's really also thinking about, it's the financial self-sufficiency. How can you build this as self-sufficiency of those? Because I think people really, and I worked at a nonprofit at one point where people were very excited about the fact that we were working on a hand up, not a hand out. And that's what the league has always been very good about, is helping people to better their situations and not just handing out things. It's helping everybody to be better. And so this is great. It's very exciting.
Yeah, we've been, a lot of us, learning a lot through our DEI work around the difference between charity and justice, and how do we really incorporate those ideals into this expansion, which feels exciting for me, for us to learn more about exactly what you were describing. Next, Carly, this question is for you. So the Colorado Children's Campaign takes a very holistic approach to advocacy around children's issues. And why have you all found it so important to approach the work in that way?
So we call it taking a whole child approach to child well-being. So for those of you who don't know about the Children's Campaign, we are a nonprofit, nonpartisan data and research and policy advocacy organization, and we work across several domains, which I'll get into. But we advocate at the state and sometimes the federal level on behalf of the 1.25 million children here in Colorado. And our policy priorities, whether in early childhood, health, family economic security, are rooted in objective data that part of our team collects every year. So we use that data to help inform policy priorities and what kids need most. And our priorities are then also shaped by the lived experience of members of our community. So children and families, educators, administrators, health professionals, etc. But we, to your point, or to your question, Melanie, we take a whole child approach because we know that children don't live in a vacuum. That there is a myriad of experiences and external forces that impact the way our kids grow up that are incredibly intertwined. We know we can't address all the areas and all the things that impact our kids, but we know that if we focus on a few key areas, like access to mental and physical health and health care, to increased educational opportunities, to early childhood initiatives, to early childhood mental health, et cetera, that we are going to then the systems for children that help prop them up. And so just by way of example, I mean, I think we can all agree that access to quality education is a foundational building block to success in our country and in our communities. And so we want to make sure that schools are adequately and equitably resourced, and we want to make sure that teachers have what they need. And we want to make sure that we have all the systems in place in those schools. However, we also know that even in the most perfect educational environments, we want to make sure, you know, parents and kids have access to different types of schools to support their learning. But we know that if kids are hungry, then they're not learning. We know that if kids are worried about where they're going to sleep tonight or homeless, that they're not going to have the same educational experience. We know that mental health at home and with our children has a huge impact on kids. And so, and it goes down the line, and we can look upstream and we can look downstream, and we can look at just when kids get to start in those quality education environments versus against some who don't. We look at all those performance metrics, and we see that all of these things are intertwined. So there are tons of wonderful organizations doing great advocacy work, but we think that this whole child approach across these domains leads to the best results.
Thanks, Carly. And I know our public policy council, going back to my roots, has just loved partnering with the Children's Campaign. I think learning from that approach over the years, and looks forward to continuing that wherever we go, whatever the final decision is, but to continuing to really learn from all of you. Christine or Dana, anything you would like to add on that question?
I think Carly has always captured it so well. And again, what I think I love about this approach that the Futures Committee has taken, it is that combination of data and what's truly happening in our community, as well as the power and the interest of the league as well.
Thanks, Christine.
I was thinking the same thing. I agree with that. I love the data approach. I also was thinking about the fact that I love adding women to this, because those kids aren't living, hopefully, we work very hard and that's a whole nother thing, but they're not living by themselves. They're going home every night. And so you want to build the strength and the power and get their support system, because as we've learned, when we learn over and over again, you learn by what you see. And so if you can see at home, moms studying and working and trying to get improve their lives and move forward, then that will help the kids too. So I love adding women into this approach.
Well, thanks, Dana. And that makes me think one of the things that the committee was very thoughtful about was the switch from only talking about children to talking about families, and recognizing that families look a lot of different ways. And we also want to be supporting if we have single fathers and other ways that families show up, that we're being inclusive of that as well. So the next question, Dana, I'm coming to you, is thinking about from a fundraising perspective and all of your immense expertise in this area, what considerations come to the forefront, both expanding our focus and making strategic investments in the area of poverty? How should the league be thinking about that?
So I think this is very exciting. I'm all about the lots of nonprofits working together and moving forward. That's, 2,900 nonprofits in Colorado gives. There's a lot of nonprofits out there. So if you think about that, just that number, 2,900 nonprofits, that's partners for the league to work with and to look at this, because we don't have to do this all our own. I think we've seen that with literacy and the way we started with United Way and partnered with them, but the other partners we've developed through the years, and that goes back, obviously, the whole 100 years. So I think that's very exciting to look at where we can partner in new and exciting ways. I think if you're new to the league and you don't know this, there are league members in almost every nonprofit in the entire state of Colorado. If they're not Denver, they're Fort Collins or Colorado Springs or even Pueblo League members. So League members are out there. And so this also helps to bring the sustainers in a little bit more, which I think is exciting as a sustainer. There's a lot, that will be a lot of excitement around this. And then if you get into the fundraising piece of this, this opens up a whole new partnership opportunity with us, with new businesses who maybe aren't kid focused, that literacy wasn't exciting to them, but homelessness and poverty and other things are things they want to make an impact in. So this has opened up a whole new spectrum of partners and new ways we can bring people into the league to learn more about us and the training we're doing, as well as furthering their business objectives and excitement in the Colorado and the Denver area. So I think this is great.
I love that. I love that frame. Just the number of folks that we could partner with and how we could think about both in strategic investment in the league, but then how we are strategically investing back out in the community, given that focus. Carly or Christine, anything either of you would like to add?
I love the fact, and Dana, you are so right, the opportunity to partner with funders in a different way. Before, again, the league changer when you put a stake in the ground around early literacy. One Book Colorado would have never happened without the Junior League of Denver that put new books in the hands of every 4-year-old in Colorado. And that's where it becomes the and. There were some companies and individuals and corporations and foundations that said that's an important issue, but our issue happens to be over here. So I think you're right, Dana. I think this opens up the league with new funding partners in ways that we haven't had in the past couple of years. So that's one of the really exciting pieces to me is as well, at a time when I think corporations and individuals and foundations understand that, again, when you look at what's happened in the past 8 months, that poverty is the root of all of this. And so I think there's going to be huge funding opportunities in a partnership.
Well, thanks, Christine.
I love that. And I love, I mean, we all know that the collaboration is what drives change. From an advocacy space, the more people on board on an issue, in the community impact space, the direct service space, the impacts, it's similar there too. So this is an exciting way to bring new entities along, to expand our own membership, and to multiply impact. And so over time, that's what's in the best interest of our community. It's exciting.
Well, thank you all. So I have 2 more questions, and they're both for all of you. So the next one, this is a really, really important one. I know one that a lot of us are thinking about. What challenges or surprises do you think we might face in implementing a new focus area, period, or mitigating this area? And any advice that you might have on how we might mitigate those? We'll see who has something come to mind that wants to start.
Well, it's Christine again. And one of the things that I have loved about your process is the thoroughness, and that it's not been a short journey. I was lucky enough to be at the annual or the December meeting last year when you began talking about this, and the thoroughness and the stakeholders that you have brought to the table. But I can also tell you from my experience of the Junior League of Washington, and when Mile High United Way made some, we called them evolutions as opposed to changes. Even with all of the transparency, I was always caught off guard when someone felt that by just making a change, you're walking away from your commitment to whatever it was before. So I think the more the league can continue to do exactly what you've done in your presentation, what is the link of poverty to literacy? So it doesn't feel like all of a sudden you're saying, oh, well, we're just walking away from that, because you're not. So it's really making that link so people continue to see themselves as a part of what the league has been. And you started that way with all the placements that are still going to be there and the opportunities. But I think the articulation of you're not leaving, you are bringing along others and.
Love that. So important. Thank you for that advice. Carly or Dana, what do you think? Carly, I see you thinking over there.
I know, I was just smiling because we had an interim focus before we got to literacy that was, and I think it was the result of a process that wasn't as inclusive and expansive and that took as much time. I mean, these things take time to include lots of different voices. And it's how I know that this is the right path for the league to be on. And I believe that, even though I haven't been a part of it, I believe that our members have really gone through a very diligent and painstaking process. And I think that's always the challenge when you're making a shift. When you're working in a membership of 1,800 and you're making a shift in any way, it can be challenging. And to Christine's point, it sometimes can feel for some that you're walking away from things that you've done in the past. And that's why I love this idea of expansion, which has been happening over a few years. And also, I think as it was pitched, and I agree, kind of bringing us back to our roots. And Dana mentioned women and families being an issue when she was president and when she was starting her league career. And I think, that is what we've always been about, women and children. We're highlighting that now. And so, and I like that.
Thanks, Carly. Dana, what are you thinking?
The other thing I want to think about is it's not going to be perfect. There are going to be times when you're going to get in there and you're going to do a placement. And this has happened in the league through all over the country, all throughout Denver. We've had these issues too, where you'll start a placement and it's just not right. It's just not a good fit for the members. It's not where they want to be. It's just not going to be perfect. And that's okay. It's accepting that perfection is not, it's progress. Are we making progress? Maybe that's not an area, as we saw all those raindrops under the umbrella, maybe that raindrop isn't where we need to be, and we need to not, there's lots of other raindrops to work on. So I think that's a part of it too, and not, and just to be honest, and we talked about evaluation and data and all those kind of things, to really look at that and evaluate what wasn't right about it. And it may not be right now, but it may be right in 2 years because it just wasn't, the organization wasn't ready. So I think it's that kind of stuff. It's just to really be honest and open to what's going on as you move through this process.
I love that framing of giving ourselves the space to really test and iterate, and having something that is broad enough, I think, was the goal, that we could change raindrops over time without having to do a full shift. I love that idea, Dana. Thank you for that. So last question, and then we'll see if there's any kind of closing thoughts before we wrap up the panel. And we've talked a lot about this on different levels, so I may be asking you to repeat some things that you've already said, but I think it's important. Why are you personally excited about the league's consideration of a broader focus on poverty, women, and families? What's really resonating with you personally? See who wants.
I'll go first. I can go first. So I'm excited because it goes back to my roots with the league, because it was women and family, and of course reading was a part of that, but it was bigger when I joined the league. So that's really exciting to me. I think the potential. I think it's exciting because I know there are members out there where literacy just doesn't resonate with them. They think it's important, but there are other things that they think are more important. Or resonate more with them. It's not even important, it's resonating. What's exciting to them, what it brings their passion forward. So I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to see who you're partnering with. I can't do and help you partner with people. I think it's just going to be fun to see how the league evolves over the next few years.
I love the diversity and opportunity for our members. And I also wanted to share one of the things that I learned through the league, and it was really during our finding the focus for early literacy, was really how much educating the public helps to move the needle for systemic change. And so when we made that move and we were educating 1,800 people around the importance of early childhood initiatives and literacy in particular, and the importance of being able to read at grade level by 3rd grade, and why that moves the needle for the community. I think that was the really exciting part. I think there's the education piece. And in this frame, with this new focus, we have an opportunity to educate our members and the wider community on the systemic issues that are rooted in economic inequities, and help us learn and reflect upon things that maybe we haven't reflected on as an organization, and maybe lean in a little bit more. And so in that regard, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for personal growth, and also just a tremendous opportunity to shift the way that we think about things and make life better for kids and families in our community.
Thanks, Carly. Christine?
Well, Dana and Carly, of course, couldn't have said it better, but I have to tell you, and maybe Melanie, it's just the season, or when I got a little glimpse of the preview prior to the presentation. And when I read it, I have to tell you, Shannon and Bianca, I just burst into tears, the thinking and the research with 2 quick stories. At Mile High United Way, we run the 211 Help Center, where anyone in Colorado can call 211 for, I can't feed my kids tonight, or I'm having trouble paying my rent. All those phone calls, poverty is at the root of it. And prior to March 13th, when the world changed in front of us, we were taking 300 calls a day. I have to tell you, yesterday we took 1,700 phone calls from Coloradans. So the reality and the relevancy of what the League is doing as our community needs us now more than ever, and the power that the League is going to bring to Carly's point of how do we educate of what's happening to those 1,700 individuals, primarily women, that have called us in the last 24 hours. To Dana's point of how do we bring in new strategic and financial partnerships, and then how do we as organizations, which is what the League is so brilliant at, evolve to be able to respond to those needs. The fact that Melanie, you are out in your presentation at the Denver Women's Press Club has started a whole group of journalists talking about what's happening in homelessness in Colorado right now. And at the United Way, I've got an empty building that's sitting there. Many of you have been there before. And 2 weeks ago, we got a phone call from our partners and friends 2 blocks down at the St. Francis Center, who runs a day shelter, to say for the first time, because of COVID, they couldn't allow, and they were not allowing, they had to turn individuals away from coming into the warmth. They turned away moms and kids. And the United Way is opening a warming shelter that we've never done in partnership with St. Francis. And that is what the League is doing right now, to say, how do we respond today in the immediate, and how do we respond so that the Junior League of Denver is here a century from now as well. So congratulations to Melanie, to you, your entire leadership team. I couldn't be more excited about what the League is doing.
Well, thank you so much, Christine. It shows what a small community we are too, even in a big city with the press club, that you've heard about that. Thank you for that feedback. Well, those were the last of the planned questions. And I mean, such heartfelt words that you all just shared, but did want to just see if there's anything else that any of the 3 of you want to add before we move to the next part of our program.
Other than next Tuesday is probably the most important day, thanks to Dana for all of us. So it'll be a big day, Dana. We can't wait.
I just wanted to reiterate my thanks for this opportunity to be here today, and then also to just to lift up again that, nothing really gets done in a vacuum, and that collaboration really is a key to success. So I wanted to thank the Junior League of Denver for being incredible partners to some of especially the early childhood initiatives that the Children's Campaign has been working on. And just for your advocacy, for your education, for your willingness to lean in and lift up these issues, and to Mile High United Way and Christine for your partnership in that early childhood space, among other economic security issues. And of course, to Dana and Community First, as Christine said, for lifting up the needs of nonprofits and to help build capacity across our community. And of course, lastly, to all the members of the Junior League for all the work that you're doing in our community and in your own communities, and the ways that you haven't been seen here today. We know you're out there, and thank you.
Carly.
It's so hard to follow those two. I think I'm just very excited. I think this is an exciting time to be a league member. I think Melanie's team is doing a great job. The Future Focus is very excited. I'm hearing buzz among the sustainers, which is exciting. It's exciting to see the energy that's being raised. And so I really truly can't wait to see what's going to happen. And I will do my last little plug, December 8th. You can get on today and schedule your donations. We dropped the minimum donation to $5. So that means that you can give to more and more and more nonprofits. It's going to be an amazing day. It's already been an amazing year. So please think about who you can give to.
Thank you all so much. I'll have even the harder job, which is following all three of you in my gratitude, but really just reflecting, this is the season of gratitude. And I do just feel so immensely grateful for the three of you, for the Future Focus Committee, for everyone being on this call this morning and having this conversation. And there's already a list of about 40 things in my head, different conversations or trainings or things that I want to follow up on from what the three of you shared this morning, that I think just shows the real depth of the conversation that we'll be able to have in the coming months. So thanks again for spending this time with us and for sharing. And we do just have a few kind of celebratory wrap up moments. So would love if you're able to stay on for the next little bit, but appreciate your time this morning. So next, okay, so more to come, I think, is the high on Future Focus. To stay tuned on more information, please give feedback. We're going to continue this conversation and just thrilled to see the direction that goes. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen Peterson for our third and final holiday demo. We are now moving into dessert. If you have finished up your ham and cheese quiche, Kristen, are you able to jump in and talk to us about dessert?
I am. Thank you so much for just all of that education. And one of the things that I want to say is I get to do the gingerbread cookies and the ornaments. But when I got to see, I chose that because it's family tradition that my mom and my sister, every single year that we have ever actually, since I can remember, have done ornaments or done bake days, and our entire kitchen gets destroyed and it's a lot of fun. And so when I got this opportunity to do gingerbread cookies, I wanted to incorporate my daughter, my 4-year-old, and my husband loves gingerbread, so it's awesome. But I also have to say that one of the other traditions that my mom has instilled in our family was to give and to do just different things around and Christmas presents to kids in need with their parents in jail, the Salvation Army Christmas tree when we were little. So it's just another tradition to love to instill and show my daughter what it is to give in this Christmas time. And then the fun aspect of being able to bake with her as well. So without further ado, this is what we've done. And what I definitely say, I'm going to move you with me, was to, when you're making this recipe, make it exact. This is my pro tip. because I made it first and had to dump the entire thing. And I bake all the time, like I said. So make this recipe exact of how they do it. Use your KitchenAid mixer. Do what they say. This one is definitely the one to pay attention. But when I do my cookies, and I have lots of different things. I did do a little bit of powdered sugar instead of the crystals because unfortunately it's the year of pivot. It's hard to find crystals. It's hard to find different things to decorate your cookies when you want the exact things. So you just pivot and you just have fun with it. So my little 4-year-old, she might be a little on the shy side today, but I used a little bit of powdered sugar, and I did actually make and was able to pull off one of the ornaments, and I made a star because she loves stars. So it was actually pretty easy to make the recipe once you did it the exact way. And then once you actually, you make the hole, I made it with a toothpick actually. You can make it a little bit bigger, and I would suggest making it a little bigger because then you have the option of putting several different ribbons together. I have just different ones that you can use, and you just thread it through, and you use a toothpick to thread it through is what I would also suggest, because then it doesn't, the ribbon doesn't shred as much. So I also have several different options to decorate and actually lay out your Christmas cookies. I use different fun plates. I use different fun placemats. And then you have your ornaments as well that you can actually hang on the Christmas tree. So loved this recipe, tasted really good. The next time that I make it, I think I actually might add a little bit more ginger to it so that it just has that really solid spicy along with the cloves. But just loved being able to have fun with my daughter, teaching her how to bake and how to have fun cooking, and this new tradition of bake days with her nanny and her auntie. And then, being able to also instill some of the other things that we've talked about giving as well. So thank you to everyone and your time for being able to display these and have some fun.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kristen, to you and to your daughter. And again, if you haven't heard, this is from Centennial Celebration, so you can find it in the cookbook and should also be in your email. But what a fun activity, like you said, to do by yourself or with your family in whatever way to get in the holiday spirit. Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks.
All right, next up, I'm going to turn it over to our VP of Fundraising, Lindsay Talafuse, who is going to give us an update on ways that you can continue this season of giving with the League.
Hi, thanks, Melanie. Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm loving this holiday cheer. Oh my gosh, I felt good about my red scarf. You guys are knocking it out of the park with these cute headbands and sweaters. I need to up my game. Okay, Jody, you can go ahead to the next slide. I'm just going to touch on quite a few things going on in fundraising, give everyone an update. As a reminder, our virtual holiday mart is still happening. So it goes through December 31st. And this is in virtual platform, as you probably know now, but you can log on to milehighholydaymart.com and search all the vendors and shop. A lot of them are doing give backs right now, along with, special discounts for League members. So make sure you check out the special ribbons that show what they're giving back. I don't know if we have a slide for this, but currently also, oh yay, look at a fun shopper. Also on the Holiday Mart, right now, today, I think is our final day. You can find the codes on all of our social media platforms, but Kendra Scott is also doing a give back to the League today as well. So anybody has Kendra Scott, or maybe for yourself, if you're like me who can't help themselves when they get on Kendra Scott, then please do make sure you use that code because they are doing a give back today as well. And then shop and share. So I know a lot of you are have been kind of voicing some concerns about fund development. So throughout today, I'm going to talk to you about different ways you can earn fund developments this year. But one way we currently have going is our shop and share. The way that this virtual holiday mart is being successful is by word of mouth and letting everyone know that you still can shop the holiday mart. So if you are able to spend $100, you can upload the receipts to us and then also just share it either in an email to friends and family or on a social media platform. It really does help out quite a bit. Sorry if you hear knocking around, I have a 5-year-old behind me playing. Sorry. And so just make sure that if you are interested in shopping, you're already shopping, you can earn a fund development credit that way. So keep shopping, it's fun. All right. Okay. We've got a lot of give backs right now. So if you're doing anything holiday, you may want to check with the league. Christmas cards, if you haven't ordered already, minted.com is doing a give back with the fundraise JL Denver code. So if you haven't ordered your Christmas cards or maybe even, you know, I don't know, holiday, something that you're doing something special, please make sure you use that code for a give back. It's really fun. I've seen a lot of people tagging me and like, I bought them. So thanks for supporting. That's really fun. I still need to do that. That's a good reminder. Okay. So this holiday season, if I don't know how many of you have given the cookbooks out to friends and family, but if you haven't, you'll probably be surprised by the reaction. People love the Junior League cookbooks. They're so amazing. And we have the new Centennial celebrations, which a lot of people don't have yet. And they're kind of coveted. I had someone tell me that they bought 2 and they still haven't been able to give away the second because they love it so much. And I'm like, it's okay, you can give it away. We have them, I promise. But don't forget about, these are great for your neighbors, for teacher gifts. There's so many ways to give these books out. And right now we have special member holiday pricing. So you can call the League Direct and place your order and they can do curbside or pick up at headquarters. So special, even better holiday pricing than just your typical member pricing. So take advantage of that. Okay, so just wanted to do a little save the date for the journey. March 19th, 2021. We will be having different opportunities this year that we're still kind of fleshing out and making sure that this event is safe for everyone. So you know, stay in tune. You're going to be seeing a lot of communication coming in the new year about what the journey is going to look like. But I did want to just kind of touch base in terms of fund development credits. I know a lot of you do Holiday Mart for those credits. This year, we will have an abundance of fund development credits for Journey because we're going to be doing some delivery and pod things that will be a really fun way to get your fund development credit, interacting with those that are giving to the Journey and to the league. So stay in tune for that and be watching for our Journey updates and be sure to save the date. Go ahead, Jody. All right, and then last but definitely not least is, I know you've heard it a couple times today, but we are going to talk about it again. December 8th, this coming Tuesday, is Colorado Gives Day. And I love, I've had a couple of people tell me they love to give $19.18. And I think that's so fun, a fun way to give to the league. So if you're able, please make sure you support the league and also all the other nonprofits on Colorado Gives Day. This is a really important day for our Colorado nonprofits that are giving directly to our community. So this is super important. I would also like to encourage everyone, if you are giving or maybe you aren't able to give this year, please share this out on your social media platforms. I'm sure most of you have heard of GoFundMe. When someone shares a GoFundMe, I think it's like a 10% increase in the bottom line for GoFundMe. And so just such a powerful tool of just sharing that you're giving. It's contagious, right? Giving and this spirit is super contagious. So let's that we're giving. Let's, encourage others to give as well. And it doesn't, maybe it's not the junior league that they give to, and that's okay. There are so many worthy causes, but letting people know that, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm including you in this fun. Come give with me. So I encourage everyone, please share this on your social media platforms or an email to family and friends, whatever makes you feel most comfortable. We would really love to see a lot of interaction on this, and share why you're giving. Maybe it's the junior league and a couple others. Maybe it's another foundation that you're giving to. Share it. I think people would love to know what you're passionate about. So I think we may have one other that I haven't seen, but I just wanted. Okay, good. All right. I think I got it. Any questions on the fundraising side? I know we've got more holiday fun, so I wanted to get through that for you guys. Save the date for Journey. Make sure December 8th you do Colorado Gives Day, and keep shopping on Holiday Mart.
Yeah, I wanted to confirm, Lindsay, the code that we've been using that would be applicable for Kendra Scott, is it the capital H, capital M 2020?
It is not. Great question. Thank you, Melanie. Sorry, I'm going to pull it up because I don't have that one.
I know everyone's furiously pulling up the Kendra Scott website.
I know. Well, it's like
I'm going to be right after this.
I know. Okay, so let me tell you exactly what it is. Thank you. So most of our other vendors on Holiday Mart, it's HM 2020 is your code. Kendra Scott has a different platform on their back, so they couldn't make that code work. But it is, and I don't know if I'll type it in. Oh, thank you. Lucretia just typed it in, but it's give back 0M7M. So it's give back dash 0MZM, excuse me, I said 7, 0MZM, and it is in the chat, but give back dash 0MZM for the online code. This is also good in the Park Meadows or the Cherry Creek if you're out and about.
Wonderful. Looks like there's some sales on their site right now too. Thanks for that, Lindsay.
Everybody's already shopping. I love it.
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for everything Funko is doing. And just want to reiterate something else that you said, that we are very closely monitoring, making sure folks have opportunities to fulfill credits this year. So please do not stress. There will be more opportunities coming, and we will find more opportunities where we need them as we go through the rest of the league year. So last thing we want anyone to be is stressed right now.
Every committee on the fundraising council, one question they have is what fund developments are they creating, that not only are, to check the box for our members, but also hopefully give them a little bit of training or something fun that they get an opportunity to grow and learn with too about the league. So we are definitely have a focus on that. So no worries, you will get your credits, I promise.
Love that. Thanks, Lindsay. All right, so to wrap us up, we have 2 fun things to do. We're going to award our holiday festive attire and everything awards. And then I have just a holiday wish to share with all of you to close us out. So I've been given the virtual envelope, and we'll share now who our winners are and what you're going to get. So we have 2 honorable mention winners, and each of you are going to receive this fabulous Junior League of Denver Tervis tumbler. Y'all can see that if you can see my video. It's quite nice. These were a gift. We had a few extra from our provisional folks last year, so we're going to pass those along to more league members. So 2 of you are getting this. The first winner who's getting one of these is Claire Juno. So where's Claire? Let's all scroll through and find. Look at that fabulous bow or whatever is on your head. It looks amazing. So Claire, I'm going to have one of these coming in the mail for you. You look great. And then next, our next winner, also getting the fabulous tumbler, is Suzanne Barner. So let's all find Suzanne. And Jody, we could even drop out of the slide since we don't have any, so we can find people faster. Let's see. I go see all of you. Okay, great. So Suzanne, this is coming your way. And then our winner, I feel very excited about this, is going to get this fabulous JLD water bottle. It is metal. This is something we got for all of our board of directors this year, and I'm obsessed with mine, so I hope that you love it as well. Christine, Carly, and Dana have a little surprise coming for you too. But the winner of the fabulous JLD water bottle is Erica Calabretta. Where's Erica? Oh, there you are. I got to see your excitement. You look fabulous, Erica. Thank you for being so festive and celebrating with us. So this is coming your way to add to your JLD swag collection. So thanks everyone for making that so fun. I'm gonna actually, before I do the last thing, I have a thing to share that I hope you will all enjoy, but I can see all of you right now. So I'm gonna grab a couple of screenshots and just take some fun pictures just while I have everybody's faces up, and we have a lot of us. I'm going to scroll through. So if you'll just smile for a couple minutes, I'll scroll through and take some screenshots that we can use. So, okay. Next page. Okay, let me do one more. Thank you all. Perfect. Thank you. We got to take the pictures where we can this year so we have memories to share out. So thank you all for that. So last thing, Jody, I haven't forgotten anything. Well, I'll say one thing and then I'll ask if I forgot. If you haven't changed your name to reflect how you are listed in the JL directory, if you could do that to make it easy for our GM committee, first and last name to award credit or assign credit, then if you could please do that. And then with that, I will ask Jody, have I forgotten anything else before I share the last little bit? We're good? Okay. All right. So let me find if I can find my papers. Here we go. So, as Corrine and I, our fabulous president-elect Corrine, give a wave, we could all see Corrine. So as Corrine and I were just talking about, we so desperately wish that we could all be together. And though I've found it quite lovely to be able to see your homes and your families and a little glimpse into your worlds and feel grateful for that. But we were thinking about how do we bring some fun, festive holiday spirit into our virtual meeting this year. And turns out that Corrine has some Dr. Seuss vibes and is just a genius in writing poems. So I have the honor of sharing a fun holiday message with all of you, but I can take no credit whatsoever as the author. So all of that love goes to Corrine Mesquita, our president-elect. So I will share this and that will wrap us up for this morning. All right. 'Twas the last GM of a pivoting year. Surprisingly, 2020 has cheer. COVID came in with a heavy, hard thud. Did we cancel our plans? Did we scream, now this year's a dud? Did we jump up and down and stomp our feet? No, we did not, because junior leaguers aren't that easily beat. There wasn't a person sleeping, not one little wink. How could we save 2020 from the brink? What can we do and put into motion? Our chairs, our actives, and sustainers loved such a notion. Quickly it started, and that feeling grew. We could do it together, this we all knew. With tweaks and changes, membership did their share. Retaining and adding to our numbers was done with such care. Community was next to step up to the line with a Love's Day of service that turned out just fine. There were hybrid events and virtual GMs. Training Council came up with that plan for the win. It was public policy who stepped up to the plate with a wine and ballots event that again took the cake. And fundraising was there, getting creative too, holding a virtual holiday mart to spread cheer and see us through. Oh yes, the money. We kept a close eye on that. F&O helped all of us to keep our budgets intact. Updates came in and information had to get out. The comms team, they handled it all without a doubt. Future Focus pushed on with their expansion plan, and DEI was there to say, oh yes, we can. Then there's the staff. What an amazing crew. They kept us together, 'tis so very true. And last but not least, our great standing committee team, they met and guided us with one big bright beam. With a big happy heart, virtual embrace, I'd like to thank each of you for running this race. It hasn't been easy, normal, or what we thought it would be, but all of you have impressed little old me. Your spirit and devotion to the league and to Denver, those are the things that we will all remember. Stay safe and stay warm through the end of this year. Happy holidays to you and a cup of good cheer. Cheers, everybody. Thank you so, so much for being here today, for everything that you're doing. I hope you have an amazing, amazing holiday season. Thanks for being part of the league, and just so much love to all of you and to your families. And I'm crying too. It's hard to read that. I'm seeing in the chat, hard to read it without tearing up. So thanks everybody so much for being here, for everything. And we'll see you very soon.
Awesome job, Mel.
Yay!
Yay!
Awesome job, team. Jody, Crean, Shannon, Bianca, Lindsay.
Fabulous.
Oh my
Fabulous.
God, Corinne, that was amazing.
So good.
Do you have that typed out? Can you send it to me?
Yeah, and it's gonna go out in one of my emails in this month. to
Oh, it
everybody.
is. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I can send
Awesome.
it to you too. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're gonna send it out, and yeah, so fun. You're a genius.
It's one of my random, very bizarre superpowers, but I even have some of my poems like that on my sorority shirts from college.
Oh my.
But yeah, Melanie and I were just trying to think about fun, and I was like, oh, you could be by the fireplace and read a poem like Mrs. Claus to us. It'd be so cute.
That was amazing. The setting was amazing.
I love
It worked.
that.
So
The Mrs.
great. I
Claus
thought
vibes so much.
fantastic.
Yes, a great end to the GM. It's great job all around, everybody. Thanks, Yana, for your help today with picking the winners as well.
Yes. So I'll get these in the mail. I've got some things to get in the mail probably next week. I'll get those out to folks. And thanks GM team for everything. This is great. Awesome.
Thank you
All right.
guys.
Have a great
Take
weekend.
care. Have a good rest of your Saturday.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
You too.
Bye.